Hello gamers, right, we're back with some more Elden Ring Nightreign, and today we're going to look at a few things, but mostly we're going to go over the Evergaols. We're going to work out, at the end of the video, what's the best method for the Evergaols. Is it taking the power-ups, or is it taking the runes? Now, that'll be done at the end of the video, but first of all, I'm going to talk a little bit about power tables. Now, if you don't know what a power table is, every time you beat a boss, you are offered a weapon or a power-up. Now, if we just find a boss in here... the software I'm actually using right now is Smithbox. It was created by someone in the community. Bear with me and I'll give you the name. I do forget the name. It's this guy here, Valsa. Now, I might be saying that wrong. If I apologise if I am saying that name wrong. But if you don't know what Smithbox is, essentially it gives you the ability to go through the data files for the game. Now, it was initially created for Elden Ring. It might have been an earlier game. I'm not 100% sure on that. But yeah, essentially, download Smithbox. You can open the project itself, and you can go through all the innards of the game, basically. So back to the video discussion. So if we just find any boss, where we go, Flying Dragon. So as you can see here, Flying Dragon on the mountaintop. When you beat him, you are offered a power table. Now, a power table, essentially, if we open one of them up, you have, I think there's 13 of them, so let's just find them. Don't know why it's not letting me search for their name, but if we just scroll through, we should be able to find them pretty quick. There we go, power table. So as you can see here, oh no, sorry, there's 21. I don't know where I got the number 13 from. Now, as you can see here, each one of these power tables has a specific bunch of power-ups in there. So bear that in mind, we'll come back to it. But essentially, if you beat a boss and they've got the power table 8, you are offered one of these rewards. Now, as you can see here, there is a 4.8% chance that you are going to be offered each one of these rewards. So it is very random, as you can see. But let's get back to the Evergaols. Now, if we go to the Evergaols, we'll take a look. You've got well, there's actually 4 tiers of Evergaols. I'll come to that in a moment. But as you can see here, you've got the low, the mid, the high, and the oldest Gale. Now, although the game files actually show that there are 4 tiers, there are technically only 3, and there are actually only 2 lots of power-ups. I've made this little picture, which essentially gives you all the details on the runes, the rewards, what enemies are in what Evergaol. Crop it, save it, do whatever you want with it. I've made it, take it or don't, entirely up to you. Now, for the juicy part, and it's probably the reason why most of you are here, which is better, taking the runes or taking the power-ups? Now, I just want to preface this by saying, obviously, the Evergaols are random. If you was to get 7 Evergaols and it was mostly high tier and mid tier bosses, you're going to get way more runes than you would if you was to get mostly low tier and mid tier. So just take that in mind. This part is obviously mostly random. That being said, I did a number of runs to test the theory, and the result was pretty much the same every time. So let's get into it. Now, the first one we're going to show you is every power-up that I took. So every Evergaol I went to, once I beat the boss, I took the power-up. Then the second run, I'll show you what happens when you take the runes. And at the end, I'll probably show you both the Gladius fights, because it was the same Everdark boss that I fought. It was Everdark Gladius. And I'll just essentially explain to you what I think is better, using, not facts, because obviously all the Evergaols are random, but essentially what I think's better and why. I just want to say as well that I'm using a mod, so I get to start with 4 stone sword keys. I'm actually using this mod here, which is the Limitless Merchant. It allows you to start with 4 stone sword keys. I still had to go to camps and to forts to find the rest of the keys that I needed. But yeah, just to make sure I could get to every Evergaol, so the run would be exactly the same across all of them. I am using the Limitless Merchant mod. That is on Nexus mod, so if if you fancy doing that yourself to test it out, go over there and make sure you endorse him if you do use the mod. But yeah, just in case you see that I've got sometimes more items in my quantity bar than I should have, it's because that mod allows you to have up to 10 items rather than just the 2. Hopefully that helps you just understand that portion of this video. So we're not going to make you sit through every fight that happened in the Evergaol, so for the next lot I will just essentially skip to the end of the fight, just so you can see what reward I've taken. Then at the end I'll compile the rewards all together, and then we'll do the rune runs pretty much the same way. I'll just skip to the end of the fight, so you can see what runes I got and how many I took, and essentially what we was at the end. Now, obviously, in both runs, we had to fight a day 1 and a day 2 boss, so you have to take those runes into consideration. Most day 1 bosses are going to give you pretty similar rewards, and it's generally pretty much the same with day 2, unless obviously you get a secret boss at the very end. But both of these runs we didn't. It was just a day 1 boss and a day 2 boss. Actually, day 2 boss was the same in both runs, so we were quite lucky in that. Now, a little tip if you are running the Evergaol strategy If you are close to an Evergaol after the day 1 boss, try and open it before day 2 starts, because then the boss loads in and it still has the day 1 scaling. Now, if you didn't know, on day 2, it's not only just their health that's scaled up, it's actually their damage. Well, technically their damage is scaled down in day 1 and their posture damage, so that's why you can stance break them easier. So yeah, if you can, try and get to the Evergaol before the day 2 starts, and then that boss will load in with day 1 scaling. Now, overall, we was very lucky on this run. We had a Dragonkin Soldier, a Crucible Knight, and an Ancient Dragon, which means we get 2 high-tier rewards, which are the 20,000 runes, plus we get the oldest jail reward, which means it's a 30,000 runes. So we were quite lucky with the runes in this run. Now, come to the final boss, we are fighting Morga. It's the same on the rune run, so the runes were fine for this guy. But as you can see, we are level 12. We obviously took another power up, which for this one we took the affinity damage because we were fighting against Gladius and he is a fire doggo, so we took that, and by the time we got to Gladius we was actually level 14. Right, on to the second run. Well, I mean, technically this is probably about the 10th run that I did for this, but yeah, on to the second run. This is the run where we are going to take only the runes. Now, we wasn't so fortunate to get a load of high tier Evergaol bosses in this one. We did get a couple, so I think it kind of balanced itself out a little bit. But yeah, we didn't get an Ancient Dragon, we did get a Dragonkin Soldier, and we also got a Godskin Apostle. So I think roughly it probably balanced itself out in terms of runes. As for the end of day bosses, day 1 we got the Barbarian Hunter, which is actually less runes than the Demi-Humans, only by about 4,000 runes. So for the Demi-Humans, I think overall when you beat both of them you get 40,000 runes, and then for the Barbarian Hunter you get 36,000 runes. But yeah, as far as the end day boss, as in the night 2 boss, we got Morgoth, so it's the exact same amount of runes that we got for the first run. The seed that we actually got as well was also crap compared to the first one, so we was only at like the 3rd Evergaol by the time we got to the first circle closing. But yeah, we got molested by the Banished Knights, then we moved on to the 4th Evergaol, and that was the Bloodhound Knight, which went down in seconds. So we took our reward and we moved on. It was then time to beat up some old hobos. We took that reward and then we moved on to the first day boss, which was the Barbarian Hunter, everyone's favourite boss. We made quick work of him. We took our reward from this guy and then we moved on to the 6th Evergaol. The 6th Evergaol was the Beastmen of Faramazula, Malekith's pet doggos, and then we moved on to the final Evergaol, which was the Godskin Apostle, which made up some runes because you always get pretty decent runes for the Godskin Apostle. By the end of it, as you can see, we were still only level 12, which is exactly the same level we was by the end of the Evergaol when we were taking the power-ups. Which already goes to show that pretty much it's always worth taking the power-ups over taking the runes. Now obviously that is dependent on the Evergaols that you get. We was quite fortunate that we kind of balanced out our Evergaols. All the runs I did, these are the most fair that I could compare to each other. Obviously in an ideal world we wanted the same seed really, but I tried and I tried and tried, it just wouldn't give me the same seed. So this was as close as we were going to get. But yeah, as you can see, by the end of it, we were still fighting the same day 2 boss, which means we were getting the same rewards. And by the time we got to Gladius, which was the same boss for both runs, we was at level 14. So the only difference really was that we were both level 14 after taking the power-ups. The only difference being we had 7 extra power-ups. So I would say, I would go out on a limb and say it's pretty much always worth taking the power-ups over the runes. Now there is some caveats to that. If you get things like gradual HP restoration and you're not using the Guardian or Raider, it's probably not worth you taking that power up. So at that point it's probably worth taking the 20 or the 30,000 runes, whatever's been offered to you. But other than that, especially for the low tier Evergaol bosses, which are the ones that give you like the maximum HP up by 10%, runes up by 10%, attack power up by 6%, it's going to be always better and beneficial for you to take the power up over taking the runes. Now, just to add to that, because it is going to help you make the decision in the long run, I did about 10 runs overall of the same Evergaol boss, which was Evergaol Gladius, so we tried to keep it as similar as possible. By the end of all of the runs, it was pretty much always the same level, level 14, and that is only doing the Evergaols. That's not going to camps, that's not doing any field bosses or anything on the way. That is literally just doing the Evergaols. We was always either level 14, or if we were taking the power-ups, we were level lower, level 13. So with that being said, I'm going to say that it's pretty much always going to be better for you to take the power-ups over taking the runes. Again, there are obviously some caveats to that. It depends on the Evergaol boss that you're getting and what rewards are offering and stuff like that. So that's a decision you'll have to make on the day. But overall, especially the low tier power-ups, they're going to make you stronger than being an extra level at the end of the day. So gamers, that's pretty much the end of the video. My opinion, always take the power-ups. If you have any questions about the power tables or anything in the data files, I am learning Smithbox, so there's still a lot that I need to learn. But if you do have some questions, drop them in the comments and I'll try my best to answer them. If I don't know the answer, I do have a couple of friends that know way more than I do. They have a bigger brain than I do, and I can ask them and I should be able to get the answer and I'll get back to you. If you're still here by the end of the video, I really appreciate you being here. I know how important time is, and if you've spent 10 minutes watching one of my videos, I can't thank you enough because it helps me out massively on the algorithm. If you can, drop a like, comment, subscribe. There's also that new hype feature, which I don't even know if it works, but feel free to drop hype points, I think they're called. Or don't, just being here is enough. Stay safe, catch you on the next one. Big love, peace.